Welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to show you another flatbread recipe using cassava flour and that I make, and I add some flavors to it, mainly fenugreek, which is methi leaves, which are actually green, a type of green, which small tiny leaves, and it's very flavorful. If you don't have this fresh or frozen, which is what I'm using, fresh frozen methi leaves, if you cannot get your hands on this fresh fenugreek, what you could use is you can use dried kasuri or kasuri methi leaves that you get, and I will show you in the recipe how much of that to use versus the fresh. But do try it if you can get your hands on this stuff. Try this recipe, and it's really a very flavorful bread that you can use, eat as is, or you could use it as a wrap. And just like how you make tacos with just cassava tortillas, you could use this methi or fenugreek flavored cassava rotis for using as a taco.
Alright, so we start with 1 cup of cassava flour. So add that into the bowl, large mixing bowl, and here I have thawed half a cup of the frozen methi leaves that I'm using. You can obviously also use fresh methi leaves if you have them, but one thing is because I'm using frozen that has been thawed, it has already some amount of moisture in it. So if you're using fresh, then the amount of water that you may need to use will be slightly different. Alright, to that now I'm adding some turmeric, half a teaspoon of turmeric powder, half a teaspoon of salt, and I use sea salt always. I have cumin here, that's about half a teaspoon of cumin seeds. Also actually going to add some cayenne pepper. I always use Kashmiri chili, which is a mild chili, so I use about half a teaspoon Kashmiri chili powder. And then I'm also going to use carom seeds or ajwain, about a quarter teaspoon, just a little bit, and it gets, adds tremendous flavor to it. And next I'm going to add some extra virgin olive oil, about a tablespoon of it. So I add some before I mix the dough. And now, as I said before, the thawed methi leaves have some moisture in it, so I'm trying to mix everything together first to get the flour to mix well with all the moisture in the leaves. And next we'll be adding the hot water to this to form a dough. So as I said before, if you're using fresh methi leaves, you will need to add a little bit more water than what I'm going to add here. So you'll have to really kind of use your judgment around that, how much water to add. But I add half a cup of hot water. Now as you can see, this water had been boiling until now, so it's really hot. So be very careful when you're doing this. Add half a cup of hot water. Use a spoon. Obviously do not use your hand, it's really hot water. Use a spoon, spatula to mix the flour with the hot water. Try to get all the flour mixed and make all the flour wet. That's what you're trying to do at this stage. And now you'll add a little bit more water because I see that there's some flour that's not mixed. So at this point I use about a quarter cup of more hot water, because as I said, my methi leaves already had some moisture in it. If you're using fresh, you may need to add a little bit more than what I have added. And once the dough is cool, you can put your hands in to form a dough. If it's a little bit sticky, you can add a little bit more olive oil at this stage. If it's very sticky, you can also add a little bit more cassava flour at this point, but add it when the dough is still warm as opposed to it's getting cold. And then mix everything to form a smooth dough. And now we'll make balls of the dough. So taking about like a tennis ball sized ball and then flattening it. I use cassava flour to flour the dough ball and to roll it. So you can roll it between parchment sheets. I generally just roll it on one parchment sheet. I don't really need to use a second one, but I'm just going to show you. This is what, if you are not comfortable, you could use another parchment paper and then roll it on top of that. But if you have made the dough properly using hot water and enough oil, the dough will be really smooth and you should be able to roll it fast. So roll it to thin, as thin as possible. And I have a pan that was already hot. So it's on medium heat that I'm cooking this, about 2 minutes on each side. And turn it and then use a spatula to kind of press it so that it gets evenly cooked on all sides. And then I'm going to apply some oil, again olive oil, or you could also apply ghee. If you can tolerate ghee, you can use ghee. And then flip it, and then again apply some more oil or ghee to the other side as well, so that you have oil on all sides. Basically cook about 2 to 3 minutes on each side so that it's evenly cooked and you have some brown or golden brown spots. So I'll show you, see the texture of this, it's like really soft. If you cook it, then it'll get very crispy, but if you cook it the right temperature. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please subscribe. Thank you.